Let's ponder. What do we understand by sustainability in workforce since morning? Sustainability is no longer just a buzzword, it's a necessity. And that's an imperative we have established. Much has been spoken about it already, but how do we progress towards it? From corporate responsibility to individual accountability. How do we create a world that balances progress and perseveration? In order to tackle these questions, we have a second leadership panel on the topic Sustainability in Action, the New Corporate Imperative. Please join me in welcoming our panelists for this session. Firstly, I invite on stage our moderator for this session, Mr. Sabih Kidwai, Director Learning Solutions and Talent Management at Schneider Electric. All right, okay. Next we have Dr. Deepak Srivastava, Director IIM Ranchi. The next speaker we have is Dr. Chaturvedi, Director General, IILM University. Mr. Sanjay Bose, Executive VP, HR L&D, ITC Hotels. Next we have Mr. Pranav, writer, public health expert, and climate change advocate. All right. I'd like to welcome Mr. Sabih Kidwai, Director, Learning Solutions, Talent Management, and OD, Schneider Electric. And the last speaker for this session is Dr. Rajiv Thakur, Director General, Jaipuria School of Business. May we all have a huge round of applause. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Am I audible? Yes. Wonderful. I'm a little nervous. I've got a very illustrious panel here, and so my responsibility is to moderate the session. I'll try my best, and let me start with a sher. I like reading poetry, and particularly Urdu poetry is what I like. So I would want to start with that sher ke अंदाज़े बयां गर्चे बहुत खूब नहीं है, अंदाज़े बयां गर्चे बहुत खूब नहीं है, शायद के उतर जाए तेरे दिल में मेरी बात. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to do justice in front of such illustrious panel and add to the conversation that we are going to have here. We've been given the responsibility of talking about sustainability. And sustainability, how is it impacting us? How is it influencing the way we work, we live, and the way the world would be? Is the conversation very, very broad, and it would require a lot of thinking. I have panelists here who can take the rest of the conference talking about the subject. They are the experts. They are studying about it. They are writing about it. They are teaching about it. But I would see to it that I keep the conversation moving, and each one of us is able to get something worthwhile from the conversation here today. So sustainability is a buzzword. It's being talked about everywhere. It's written everywhere, every day, newspaper. You hear about it. Thanks to the pollution in Delhi, you get reminded of it at least once a year when this season comes. But sustainability is not understood really in its true sense. The modern definition, or the most contemporary definition of sustainability is not just saving energy or reducing pollution or recycling. It is way beyond. It is about how are we creating a more equitable place, a more equitable world. How are we ensuring that it's beyond just the energy saving. It is also about how are we balancing, how are we creating a more balanced world, how are we ensuring that what we have got would have, everyone has the same access and everyone would be able to avail and enjoy the same that the nature has provided us, and all of us have that advantage. We will have to see to it that how do we really get it to the larger population of the world. The world is not as equitable as we would ideally want it to be, and this is where this subject and the focus on this subject makes it very relevant and pivotal to the future of the organizations and to the future of the world, so to say. It cannot happen and will not happen by focusing on one element, any one element. It is multifaceted. It would require concerted efforts. It would require leadership. It would require thinking at a higher level. And of course, it would require technology, and it would require commitment, and it would require funds. So for us to be able to really do this, it is important that the industry, the governments, and the academia work in tandem. We will have to work in tandem to really make a difference. If we will be ever able to make any difference, it would require all of us to work in tandem. And that's what we would try and bring forth here in the conversation that we are going to have here. I would maybe request the panelists to take the mic and very quickly introduce themselves, very short and brief conversation, so that whatever you say next, people will be able to contextualize that where are you coming from and what is your background and how are you, with what authority are you saying what you're saying. So Deepak, can I bring it to you first?
Good afternoon, my name is Deepak. I am heading IIM Ranchi as a director. You think enough?
Thank you.
I am Harivansh Chaturvedi. I have devoted 47 years in higher education, and I am currently working with IILM.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here representing the industry. I work with a hotel company called ITC Hotels, and it's part of the larger ITC. 30 years in that function. Thank you.
My name is Pranay Lal. I'm the imposter in the room. I'm neither academic nor part of the industry. I've worked with civil society, and I've partnered with academia and corporations to advance public health and environmental change. And I look forward to hearing thoughts from my co-panelists.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon. I am Dr. Rajiv Thakur. My current association with Jaipuria group of institutions and carry almost about 2 decades and more of my experience in academia, and 10 years I worked with the industry, particularly the media industry, with Times of India Group and more. Sustainability as a subject has been close to heart. And in fact, in the morning when the keynote speaker talked about sustainability in agriculture, incidentally, this was my PhD topic. So I think that was a very relevant point brought out by Dr. Singh, that should also be a part of the IAC in future. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So let me take the conversation forward, and Sanjay, I would come to you first. And the question is that what concrete action? So there's a lot of noise around sustainability and corporates committing to sustainability. What are some real concrete actions that you are seeing in your organization or other organizations which you feel are really commendable and it's happening in the right way and in the right direction?
Thank you, Sabih. Pleasure to be here. And sir, I think I'm the imposter here. With such learned people on the panel, I don't know what I'm going to speak about. But let me give it a shot in terms of what my organization believes in and what it does. So, at the risk of oversimplifying, first, let me address the way we look at sustainability. What is sustainability? Sustainability is we are living in a planet which has got finite resources. There were a time when the consumption was less than the kind of resources which are available. We are now crossing the hump where we are, drying up the resources of the planet, and therefore the question of sustainability and how long you can sustain. What can you do about it? Now, this is not something which organizations realize today, right? We knew for the last 4 centuries, 5 centuries, that you are consuming the resources of Mother Earth, right? And which is not infinite. But what is the trigger now that we are talking about sustainability? We are getting to talk about sustainability because you have crossed the hump, and if you don't take concrete action in some time for your future generations, you're not going to leave a planet behind. That's the reality of it. So the question is, if that is the reality, why is it that organizations today are talking about awareness and we are talking about people awakening to sustainability as a term? Because if that's the case, naturally it should have been, it's a way of life. It should have been built in. So my answer probably to that is there are 2 issues. Speaking from a corporate point of view, there are 2 issues to it. One is, first is awareness, right? We all know that my resources are depleting, etc., and I need to do something about it, but what is not very clear. At least if I go back 15 years, I think most of the people in industry were not aware what is it that is required to be done. Right? Thankfully, with so much attention on it, with so many other standards coming into place, now corporates have an idea what is it that they can do to influence this, at least slow down the rate. So the second question was, so why, if it's so urgent and if it's so imperative, why am I not doing it? So the answer is, it lies in for-profit organizations, it lies in the word profit, right? My commitment is to give to my stakeholders the maximum return and to be ahead of my competition, right? If I invest in sustainability and sustainable practices, there is some element of my bottom line which gets shaved off. And therefore my investor says, Arey, you are giving me lesser return than your competitor, right? These are the 2, I think, most important things which drove this, how do I call it, selective blindness, the myopia towards sustainability. My personal view, not my organization's. Okay. So, therefore, when you look at corporates, the first part is clear, right? What you need to do. There are multiple channels available and multiple areas where you can impact sustainability. But the second question is more important. How is it that you create value for your shareholders along with the other stakeholders and still be competitive when it's possible that your competition is not doing all that? So that's where ITC comes in, right? I think it's been at least 30 years that we have taken a conscious decision to invest in the planet, much before this was a buzzword, to invest our hard-earned shareholders' money into the future, which will probably give returns not to the shareholders who are existing today, but will give returns to the shareholders' children or their children, right? 3 generations down. So that's something which ITC took as an organizational priority. One of our core values is nation building. One of our core values is giving back to the community where we operate. And so it developed as an organizational philosophy. Now, how does this translate today? If I speak about my business, which is the hotels business, we built the first green office building in India, which is here in Gurgaon, right? ITC Green Center was the first green building. And then we started building hotels which are green in nature. 5 years back, we were the world's largest hotel chain, which was certified as green, the first in the world, which came out of India. We today are operating on a model which is ahead of the COP30 guidelines on emission control and pollution. In another 3 years, we'll be crossing the COP50 guidelines in terms of reducing and consuming natural resources of the space that we operate in. I can give you statistics of how long we have been single-use plastic positive, how long we have been energy positive, etc., etc. But let me tell you this in more understandable terms. The kind of electricity that we save by using renewable energy in ITC hotels, not the larger ITC, will light up all the highways from Kashmir to Kanyakumari for 1 full year. You know, that's a translation. The kind of energy we save. I'm assuming there are 200 people in this room. That is equivalent to 20 trips across the globe for each one of you, right? So that's about 4,000 and odd trips that you can do around the globe, traveling in air. That's the kind of energy that we are saving. On a larger ITC, we took a resolution that we would plant 1 tree for every citizen of India, which we crossed last year, having crossed 1.3 billion trees that we planted. Okay.
I think it's commendable.
So, why I'm saying these statements are because these are easily understandable. Right, so now I'll come to Sabih's question and give you an answer. See, for us, what we do comes at a cost, right? If I build green hotels, that is at least at a 20% premium of what some other hotel company would build a hotel. And the person who's coming to stay with me is not going to give me 20% premium on the price they're paying, right? So that is something that we subsume. But that's an organizational philosophy. We know that when we did this 20 years back, we knew that there'll be a time which will come when this will become important for a customer to choose. What we didn't realize 20 years back is that it will become important for the employees to choose also. Today, when I go to campuses and I talk about my compensation and career growth and the employee value proposition, there is one line that we say which resonates with students. We say that if you work in ITC hotels, for every year of work that you put in, compared to any other place that you're going to work, you are probably going to add 5 minutes more to the life of the planet. That is a very powerful statement, and that beats any employee value proposition the best consultant in the world can drop for you. Today, in my own system, I have got people who do not leave ITC hotels just because of the pride that what we do is so planet friendly. And that's across the generations. There is this myth that the older generation doesn't care about the planet, and the newer generation is more woke, so to say. But that's a myth. I think I have got at least 60% less attrition than what the industry faces. And I contribute a large part of it to this philosophy and the innate pride that you develop by working in a place which says that I'm green and I'm adding more to just my pocket and the shareholder pocket, but also to the planet. Let me rest with that, Sabih, and I'll come back.
Thank you. Thank you. मैंने कहा था ना कि they can speak the rest of the conference on the subject. That's the kind of knowledge and information that they have, and the willingness to share with you. So yeah, this was just a trailer. But before I take the conversation, so we talked about how much is one organization able to impact. But maybe Pranay, and I want to come to you, is tell us how much is required. So while we are saying, oh, we've done a lot, and each one of us can talk about it, I can talk about from my organization perspective. But what I want you to paint the picture is that how much is required, and what is the urgency of that, if you could spend a few minutes on that.
Right, thank you. I think that's a pertinent question. I think we've got champions. Schneider Electric is perhaps the greenest company in the world, and we've actually couched you in that role, which is not fair. But nevertheless, the challenges before the United Nations IPCC, it's the body, the consultative body, which actually tells us on the roadmap on which we are, in terms of where we are, in terms of the progress or the limitations that we have in our measures to fight climate change. Now, after each COP, we found, new studies have come up, and we find new goals being set or goalposts being shifted or brought earlier. For example, last year in November, there was a paper that was published in, the most highly acclaimed journal called Nature, and they said that, the paper, it was published from Australia, and said that we've already breached 1.2. and 1.25 perhaps, degree centigrade. And it took a long time till just before COP, the current COP that happened, that the IPCC acknowledged that yes, we have breached that barrier. So the warming potential of the planet is uneven. Not every piece of land, not every piece of ocean is the same, right? So there cannot be one size fit all, right? That's the challenge, and it can't be the same for every sector. Now, having said that, we now need to be in a position where we help countries living or struggling to mitigate the challenges of climate change, or corporations which are a threat. How do we look at those in a broader perspective? The challenge comes when the kind of grim picture that I've painted. So the next question is, what is it that we need to do? I think we need to go back and see the regulations and the policy framework that exist. I don't think they have kept pace. For example, our emission standards, if you look at the Air Act or the Water Act or the Hazardous Waste Management Act, all of those are ones that were drafted in 1976, revised in 1983, then 1994. Because I sit on one of the committees of the Delhi Pollution Control Board, we know that many of these have become archaic, right? For example, if there is a company which, say, deals in chemicals, it can produce paints, it can do anything, any of those fertilizers, and if it adds an additional manufacturing line, it is adding to the toxic burden. And if it is a new product, there's a new toxic burden, right? Now, these combinations do not keep pace with the larger mandate of productivity, profits, and therefore the pollution load that we talk about, right? Or the energy consumptions. Now, the regulators that we, in any country, I'm not just pinpointing India or any state, or, if you were to look at other larger countries, China, Indonesia, even America, several states in America are pitifully lagging behind in regulations, in implementation of regulation, or even setting the right standards. So I think if we are to catch up with the larger necessity of meeting the climate goals, biodiversity goals, water goals, I think all these policies, standards, and regulations need to be revamped. Like I said, many of these, even if you were to look at the EPA, the Environment Protection Act of the United States, the last revision that happened for the toxics was 2019. Imagine that 22,000 new chemicals are added each year. Most of them are still in a period where they will take some time for them to get added to the lists. So that means there are millions of chemicals out there that are still not regulated, right? So there are imports of chemicals that happen into India because they come in sizes that do not qualify for regulation. But the quantum builds up over the years, right? I can give you examples. There are special chemicals that come for agriculture preservation, that are under special vehicle. They come for clearance to the Pollution Control Board and the authorities. And because it's of limited use, it is allowed. But gradually this builds up, because if you need it year on year, there's a build up, right? So I just want to conclude by saying that regulations have to keep they have to be living documents. They don't have to be ossified. They're not fixed things. If we made something in 1970s or 1993, that has to be kept open, because these standards need to be revived. And I think our policy has to be proactive. And currently our policies are not as proactive as they should be, because climate is changing, biodiversity is changing. How are you keeping pace with that, right? So,
wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for enlightening us with this, and the fact that there is so many chemicals that gets added, and it's adding to the pollution and adding to the confusion. And how are we equipped as governments, as bodies to really make sure that we have a solution for it, we know what to do with it. And maybe a step before that, first of all, how many of us and how many of these bodies really know what all is happening? And then they will start thinking that what do we do with it? So thank you for bringing this up. And this actually beautifully gets me to the next point that I wanted to bring for this conversation. And that is because it is about people who will make policies, people who would deploy those policies, people who will make decisions about this. are we preparing that set of people enough? Are they equipped enough? And that's where I would want to bring the question to my academic friends. Maybe Dr. Thakur, first to you. How are you preparing the talent for this need that Pranay is highlighting, and the work that is already being done by the corporate? Sanjay is doing it. Our organizations are doing it. We need a lot of people like that. The world needs a lot of people like that. But how is the academies preparing that set of people? What are we doing about it? Is something that I would want you to talk about.
Okay, thank you. So before coming to your question,
Yes.
I must first of all emphasize that though we are talking sustainability today and we are talking about the future workforce, but honestly, I mean, I did my PhD on the topic. That was sometime late 90s. And when I was doing literature survey, I think similar concern, similar emphasis, I think if you go back to the literature, it starts as way back 75, 80s, right? The first concept of which officially the Brundtland Commission came out with the definition of sustainability, that is way back. And today now it is over 40 years and I see things have worsened. We are even more concerned about the environment, whether it is the climate, whether it is the resources, or it is, when you talked about equity, it is related to socio-economic sustainability, right? So I think this is a high time where we walk the talk. I mean, no more deliberations, conferences, discussions, concept papers are going to help us. Believe me, this is, if we have to make this civilization, this society sustainable or work or live longer, we need to act on that. Now, again, I mean, it is not about acting where, it is not about only about organization. I think each one of us as individual, we need to make it as a way of life. That needs to be sensitized. Now, coming to your question, as educational institutions, there are two aspects. But before that, I mean, let me give you a pointer. When I say walk the talk, I think it is as basic as, can we think of having these conferences in a more environmental friendly, more sustainable venue at least, to begin with? That's the fundamental question. If Sanjay is talking about a green facility, can we look for alternatives which are more greener? Because if you start calculating what is happening right now in terms of environment, I think this is where we may be talking something, we are practicing different. And that's where the difference
Very
has to
good
be
point.
brought.
Thank you. Thank you
Right?
for bringing it. Very good point. Thank you.
Now, coming to our organization, so as education institutions, there are what we practice as an organization. So there are, I think, broadly three aspects. We have, as such, in terms of infrastructure. So infrastructure, we try to minimize as much as the possibilities of the carbon footprint. And we have tried to, the digitalization of the teaching learning process of the entire organization, be it the teaching learning or the administrative setup, I think that is helping us to be more green, more sustainable. However, what is needed is two-pronged, that the government authorities and the agencies need to believe institutions on the digital formats and the paperless formats, rather than insisting that we maintain records on paper. I think that's, again, a big irony that we face. Now, in terms of the building and in terms of many ways we are trying to save, I think, which every organization does. But in terms of preparing the workforce and the mindset, I think I come from an organization which is deep into education. It has been there for the last 80 years. We are into K-12 education institutions. We are into higher educations. So right from the nursery level to the primary level to higher education, we have a scope for the sensitization. As I said, it is no more classroom teaching or giving the textbook which will help that workforce. I think that is, and probably it is easier for us to build that value system, build that sensitization in kids and the future generation rather than the students who are with us in the B school. Now, in order to sensitize them rather than giving them only lectures and classroom teachings, we make them visit and work on projects which expose them to the climate hazards. And say, for example, I'll give you two examples. We have a pond man. I don't know how many of you have heard about the pond man. This is, sorry? Yeah, Ramveer Tanwar, if you Google, he must have reclaimed at least 80 ponds which have been deserted. And fortunately, he works very close to one of the projects that he works. Few of the projects he works is very close to our institution. And we have attached our students with that particular individual. And they go on sites and they help them in creating and recovering those ponds. So I think it is straight away hand-holding, sensitizing, and learning on these environmental projects. And the students are, and these are the future managers. They understand what is happening on the ground. They get to learn what is the seriousness of the problem and how those problems can be addressed. And that is the kind of interest. Similarly, we have the Tripathi brothers. I think they came out from where Chaturvedi sir had the Atal Incubation Center and they are the product out of it. They are one of the 80 SDG entrepreneurs, startups identified by Niti Aayog, and they are converting waste materials into the paper products and so many other things. We have attached our students with those Tripathi brothers and they are helping them to sensitize and work on startups, work on problems, identify. My suggestion and submission is that with these live projects on hand, I think that is the best way of sensitizing the future generation and let them, and so that they are groomed as effective managers who can really understand and integrate into the functioning of the organization and their own values and beliefs. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Deepak, if I can come to you on how are you refreshing the curriculum to be able to really prepare the talent for the needs that we are talking about. So, yours.
So at the outset, my congratulations, compliment to organizer for identifying this concept or this theme, sustainability in action. So very often in academics, we have a trade-off, and in fact, this is a paradox, operational definition and dictionary definition. We talk about so many concepts, but the moment we start operationalization of these concepts, it is difficult. As a result, what happens nowadays, a lot of focus is going on action. Education in action, research in action, strategy in action, entrepreneurship in action. So I'm very happy to see sustainability in action. What sustainability is, because there are different perspectives. The one very simple perspective is that sustainability is something which is codified, which can be gone through a set of papers. But what I feel sustainability is more than that. Sustainability is a worldview. Sustainability is a lens which can be used to see how different events, different phenomena have been evolving. Right. The moment we see sustainability as a lens, then the question is how we can sensitize. I would like to limit myself in academics. How we can sensitize students and stakeholders about sustainability. So what is the operational definition? Being in a business school and 10 years and 15 years, the students who are in average, in average, and they would be in position to take some critical decision, which is going to affect the organization, not only organization, the society at large. So the one, way of seeing sustainability is if you take a decision and if opportunity is given to you by divine power, after 100 years, you will come back to your organization, how you would like to see your organization, how you would like to see the stakeholders who are directly or indirectly connected to your organization. What is the consequence of decision which you are going to take today, how it is going to affect your family, well-being, the society, the country at large. As a matter of fact, there are global corporations worldwide. Of course, national culture matters. They have 200 years, 250 years long planning, right? Panasonic is one of the examples. There are so many companies. But still argument is there, 200 years, 250 years is enough or not? Because one generation means the 50 years. There has to be planning and that kind of perspective that 7 generations of future you can think about. So that is the view. So coming back to the point that how the sustainability curriculum. So when we see sustainability as a lens, then it is not enough to have a 101 type of a course on sustainability. That is not going to work. Because nowadays everyone knows. Whoever is having the reasonable knowledge knows what sustainability is. The dictionary definition is everyone knows. Idea here is that we need to sensitize sustainability, how it is integrated in different types of decision making. In conventional system is the textbook when we see, that is also one advance is that there, at the end of chapter there would be ethical dilemma. The time has come, we need to integrate more such kind of, sustainability dilemma in marketing, in finance, in, M&A deals or international, this kind of a deals. What sustainability issues perhaps would come, that kind of discussion is needed. That is one. The second is the sustainability is an ecosystem. Sustainability, if we want to sensitize stakeholders, students about sustainability, we need to also cultivate reasonable social intelligence. Right, we are fortunate enough being in India. India is a country of diversity. We have lot of, challenges. The students or the instructor, whoever, they need to have that intelligence. So that is also important. There are so many problems in society, and sustainability lens, sustainability worldview can provide you solution. So one way of doing it, that the in course outline, which is very essential in V school, I think all of us would be knowing it, and there would be some kind of a highlight then how faculty is going to deal with sustainability issue and what problem is going to be addressed. Now, at IIM Ranchi, we have taken certain initiatives. The social impact. We identified 4 priorities. Social impact is one of the priorities because we believe that sustainability certainly is important. Sustainability is very, very generic. We need to start with something which is doable, right? The aim is not to make a revolution in 1 day or 2 days, but this is the gradual process, and we need to provide a reasonable exposure to students. The social impact and not a societal impact, which is also a very broad concept. The social impact is something which we can sensitize students that how this intelligence, how surrounding would matter, right? And that will help to grow and that will help in future. Then each session, there would be some kind of, social dilemma or the sustainability dilemma. That is one thing. And also there is a important, focus on the problem definition. The session, the conventionally what we used to do and still we do at many places, that we go with the concept. The time is over, right? Covering the concept is not enough. The time is the uncovering and discovering, right? At the era of AI, there are so many things are available. We need to be more focused on the problem definition. That is the philosophy of business management, right? So if we identify the problem, and this problem is taken care by different models, framework, and the theories, and then subsequently readings would be decisive. So these are certain initiatives have been taken. Now, but that is not enough. We need to do more because the academia as well as in corporate, there has to be, there is a kind of process, right? A lot of very nice discussion has taken place, but there has to be a sync between academia as well as, corporate, because the theorizing works when in academics we are able to identify the anomalies of theories. Sustainability as a concept is very popular, but we still a lot of academic or again I'm repeating the operational this thing that is needed regarding sustainability. So papers are going on, there are so many dimensions in HR, in supply chain work is going on, but sustainability as a as a subject overall, not a course, right? I think that needs more deliberation and more research, like ethics, that over the time, and also the management, which has evolved over the year, right? Uh, Management has evolved. Earlier there was public administration, the management has evolved, and within management now there are so many, disciplines are emerging. The ethics being treated as a separate nowadays. The time is coming, sustainability would also be like, sustainability as a area of knowledge, and there would be different dimensions. So with this, I would like to.
Thank you. And I come to you, Professor Chaturvedi. We've talked about it so much. You've been studying and teaching about this so much. What I would want you to share with us is that what is it, if you had the liberty and the power to change the curriculum and change the way it is being taught about sustainability, what are a couple of things that you would recommend to all of us to do or not to do that would really embed it in the ways that everyone is talking about in decision making, in really making a difference?
I think sustainability is not a vague idea. It has been adopted by the 200 nations in the world about 10 years back, when Millennium Development Goals were replaced by 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and for which 169 targets were fixed. So, major responsibility come to the governments, which have the lever of making changes in the society, in the economy, the business. Only after these two entities, there are civil society, third entity, and fourth entity, we can add education, particularly higher education. So higher education cannot be the first, second, or third. It comes after three: government, business, civil society, then education. So from early education, say primary education, we have to create sensibilities about sustainability. Why trees are important, why rivers are important, why rains are important, why the soil is important. These are the basic core issues which need to be taught to the children of the country, because the whole world is suffering from the lack of sustainability, deteriorating and depleting natural resources. In spite of the resolve of 200 nations, year by year by year, we are facing severe climate-related problems like floods, droughts, typhoons. The big cities of India are flooded. Sometimes they are suffering from the drought. Chennai, you will find people are buying water, and sometimes there is a flood in Bombay or Chennai or Bengaluru. So I think the whole world is facing difficulties, and we will have to use education as a change agent or the game changer by creating the young generation which will be joining the industry or the government or any other profession. They should be confident about solving all problems related to sustainability by taking the help of technology, disruptive technology, artificial intelligence. And this, I would like to tell you that they can create public opinion in the favor of sustainability. I can give you one example. Use of plastic bags is banned in our country by most of the state governments. But you will find that everywhere these plastic bags are being used, and these are choking sewers, they are choking, even the cows are chewing the food left in plastics, and they are dying because kilos of plastic bags are in their stomach and in their lungs. So I would like to say that higher education, school education, primary education, they can play a very big role, but the biggest role lies with the government, union government, state government, and the municipal corporations. Surat or Indore, they are two examples they have created by enforcing in the public the segregation of the garbage, wet garbage, and dry garbage. It has been successful. Not many cities in our country. So, three governments, these are responsible. Then come to the business. If they are conscious and make it compulsory, the board level, execution level, that all business decisions should be taken into considering 17 Sustainable Development Goals, 169 targets. Niti Aayog has started publishing an index of states' competitive position in implementation of Sustainable Development Goals. Similarly, we can start ranking of universities, colleges, and schools on the basis of their commitment and their delivery of sustainability. It may be possible. It has not been started yet in India, but Financial Times, FT, which is ranking universities, they are ranking universities around the world on the basis of their adoption of sustainability. And 17 universities have been ranked among the top universities of the world, which have done very well for implementing sustainability in their campuses. So I would like to say the big role lies with big entities like government, business, and civil society. And we are, although large number of institutions, but our power is limited. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you. Very passionate, very energetic. You could sense this. I got excited. I will want to stand. Is it? Okay. So I got excited with the energy with which and the passion with which Professor Chaturvedi spoke. So I thought I'll stand up and I will also engage you in the conversation now. So that you've been checking your messages and sending your mails, let me pull you into this conversation. I would want all of you to respond to this question that I have, a few questions that I have from you, and I would then bring it to our experts again to take their view. And the question is that, do you think, and shout like they shout in the parliament, I loudly. So do you think the government is doing enough for establishing sustainability goals and establishing the ways of working in a sustainable way? Is the government doing enough? Yes or no? पीछे वाले आवाज नहीं आ रही यार louder no. Okay, so what I hear from the room is that most of us think the governments are not doing enough. Okay, let me make it more interesting for you. क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट तो यहाँ है नहीं तो बोल दो नो चिल्ला के क्या फर्क पड़ा. अब now I will ask you. I'll give you a minute. I'll come to that.
But you have raised this question. Keep in mind.
And it is on record. मैंने तो सवाल पूछा था, जवाब तो इन्होंने दिया है. All right, but the next question that I wanted to bring, now I have got these people who are representing, is, are the academicians doing enough in establishing it? Are they doing enough? अब बोलो भाई, yes or no? Professor Chaturvedi, mic पकड़ लीजिए आप. Louder, everyone. Yes. Okay, you are from a university doing this, huh?
That is okay, but sorry, addressing all the August members here, my due respect to all the members. Thank you so much. What I would like to say is that, sir, government is providing a platform, okay, as a startup. Okay, they're providing a lot of schemes.
Sorry, you are still answering for the government?
No, I am telling that government is providing a platform.
No, but I have moved to the next question. You are justifying the government action.
No, I'm answering both.
Oh,
so
okay.
as a university, as a part of the university, we are trying to work on how we can address the challenges, and we are trying to come up with new courses. So understanding taking the feedback from the industry, okay, and we are starting one of the most unique courses in the country, and we can see how we can refine them.
Very good. Thank you. Which university do you represent?
I represent IIFM, and I am proudly saying that IIFM has become a De Novo university now, and one of its kind in India. It's a 44-year-old university.
Thank you.
It's part of. Thank you.
Perfect. So please sit down. The point that I was making was that majority of us still think not enough, and maybe it's about the visibility of what is being done. But let me bring back the question to us, and this time I can be blamed for it. Are the corporates doing enough? Yes or no? Is this a fad? Is this a fad, or do they really mean it? Are the corporates, the industry, are they really concerned about sustainability, and are their efforts genuine? Yes or no? No. That's why I'm saying you have to be. अपनी सुना रहा हो यार. My company does it. No, but in general, is the industry and the corporate doing enough? पहले I want a louder response. Yes or no? Once again, ये सवाल पूछोगे, no ही आंसर आएगा. No. Okay. I see a hand there, lady there. Can you please pass her on the mic to her? And yes.
My question is, we have people across different industries, and
Right.
these are stalwarts in their particular industry. My question is that while we are doing enough, or maybe enough in our organization, but are we able to nudge companies in our industry to also inculcate sustainability as a revolution or as a value in their ecosystem?
Sure. Thank you.
Hope I'm clear.
Thank you for asking the question.
Thank you.
I will hold on the panelists to respond to this, because you're taking my job. So this is risk taking. So I don't want to go there. Let me come back to my panelists. But before I do that, one more thing. And now this is each one of us. And Sanjay brought that point. I want each one of you to respond, hand on your heart. Are you serious about it as an individual, as a citizen? Zor se bolo phir. Are we as citizens seriously thinking about and invested in sustainability? Yes or no? यार लाउड बोलना पड़ेगा क्योंकि अभी बराबर चल रहा है. So yes or no? Okay. So those who said yes, you will have to pay a premium for the sustainability conference that you attended, because you value it. No, jokes apart, but let me bring it to Sanjay. And
Kidwai
Sanjay
ji,
did allude
I'm
to it.
Just a sec.
Sorry,
Rajiv here.
I'm sorry.
Das.
Where are you? हाँ.
Here.
अच्छा. Yeah, sorry.
I am the culprit. आपको एक और critical पूछना चाहिए सर.
घर का भेदी.
सर एक last question
Yes,
है.
please.
And most critical.
Right.
आप सबसे हमसे ये पूछना चाहिए कि आप क्या कर रहे हैं. You asked?
Me.
No.
Okay.
Each one of us.
Each one of us. Yes, that's what
You
I wanted
asked
to
government is doing enough.
Yeah.
Institutions are doing enough. Corporates are doing enough. Whether we are doing enough.
I asked that. Yes.
No,
Yeah.
you are thinking. You are concerned. Ask, are we doing?
Good point. So are we really doing
जिस दिन
something?
हम ये करना शुरू कर देंगे, इसमें आ जाएगा कॉर्पोरेट भी
Everything
करना
else
शुरू
would
कर
start
जाएगा,
happening.
सभी लोग करना शुरू.
Wonderful point. Yes, but let me bring it back to Sanjay now. And Sanjay did allude to it when he started the conversation. And the fact is that this is all talk about, and a lot of our panelists mentioned and alluded to it some way or the other. It's a fad. Everyone likes talking about sustainability. Oh, we want to be sustainable. We have to be sustainable, this and that, and the World Economic Forum and the conversations that happen there. But the reality is, are we willing to pay for it as customers? Sanjay, I want your view. Is the customer willing to pay? Do you have that category of customers? Some of them are coming to your hotels because they said that they are willing. But I would want to hear from you. Reality.
So, Sabih, you're asking tough questions to everyone. So it's like this. I'll just digress for a minute, and I'll go back to what you had said earlier. It is about being aware of what it is. And then the next step comes about, do I know what I'm supposed to do about it? So going back to what you had said, are we all serious about it? We are all serious. We are all concerned, right? We are good human beings. But first, do we know what to do about it, and are we doing it? So as individuals, if I'm switching off my tap, I'm taking a conscious choice not to buy something which is being given to me in plastic. You start from there, you switch off your lights, right? As simple as that, you know. It is about a mindset which moves from, for lack of a better word, consumerism to something which is a more frugal mindset, right? Frugality is the key, and not in terms of spending money, but in terms of utilizing resources. I think it's as simple as that. When I teach my child, जैसे मेरे parents ने मुझे सिखाया था that when you're walking out of the room, please switch off the fan. Why is your fan switched on when you're not there? Am I teaching my child to do that when I'm saying that the AC should be on 24 hours and when I'm saying that my geyser should be on 24 hours in my house? Am I doing that? So that's where it starts. It starts, I agree, it's about nations, it's about governments, it's about international bodies getting regulations there. But first and foremost is a will, okay? It's about recognizing what it is and what is the little impact that you can do in course of your day-to-day activity. That's where it starts from. Having said that, I'm answering that. Now I'm extrapolating that to my customer. Okay. If I tell my customer that I am very concerned about the planet, and therefore I'll give you a planet-friendly hotel to come and stay, and therefore I'm going to charge you 20% extra, the response is an outright no, right? If I'm concerned about the planet, I'll not give you 20% extra. I'll figure out what to do for the planet myself. That's a logical mindset, okay? So what you do as an organization is to break it down into conscious choices. We are into luxury hotels, right? And luxury is the opposite of frugality. So what do you do to make the customer make some informed choices and contribute? So we have done a lot of research and we have done some work on this. If you go to an ITC hotel, coming to how it's broken down into small pieces, when you open the menu, right, there will be some items that you will see that there is a red tag. And if you read the menu at the bottom, you will say that this natural resource is little scarce. So make an informed choice when you're ordering this item from the menu. Okay?
Okay, interesting.
I'm not charging that person extra, but I'm giving him an informed choice, right? When you walk into a room and you request for certain amenities, we say that we'd be very happy to give you free of cost, but understand that this is depleting these natural resources, right? When I give you a paper printout, which most organizations do today, I will not only tell you that as a practice, I won't give you a paper printout. I'll say, sir, we will give you a paper printout if you need it, but you are aware that it's costing the price. So the answer to that question is, my customer is very happy to pay for something when he sees tangible evidence of how that's helping. If you promote and say that I'm something that I'm going to, I'm espousing sustainability and therefore I should charge you more, he's not, right? So that's the first point. The second is of awareness, and I'll come back to academic institutions. I'll take 1 minute to give an example.
You have exactly 1 minute.
Let's take less than that. 2013, I was speaking to a group of MBA students all about to pass out in Ranchi. And I brought to them a statistics from US which says the 5 major Ivy League students were surveyed. 75% of them said that will take up to 30% cut in the offers which are being given to us if the company is operating with a social conscience, right, towards the planet, towards the community, etc. The students who were in front of me were just coming out of that depression, right? They laughed me off. They said, sir, we are just coming out of an economic downturn. All this is fine in theory, but for us, the package which is being offered on campus, that matters most. I went back to the same institution after exactly 11 years, that is about a year and a half back. I presented the same statistics. And the students gave me with statistics of how they have been refusing offers where they think that the company is just concerned about profits and is not doing enough about sustainability. It's about raising consciousness, which comes first. Okay, rest my case.
Thank you. And so credit to the academics who've been actually then are concerned that it's not doing enough. there's a lot of it happening because there is this consciousness that is building up. So thank you. I would love to continue the conversation, but I think it's time to close it. Thank you for your participation and engagement, and thank you for your sharing and insightful conversation. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, distinguished panelists, for your keen insights that helped us understanding the operational sustainable practices, and to Mr. Sabih Kidwai for moderating this session. The future of sustainability lies in collective effort, as we have established, be it the government, the industry, the academic institutes, or the corporates. And today's discussion has set a strong precedent for this responsibility. Now may I invite Dr. Ravi Kumar Jain, Director at IILM University, to felicitate the panel members. By now, we have surely felt a wave of future workforce taking a shape. The future of work isn't yet to come, it's already here.